What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Gotta Get Back. Welcome to the Samurai Jack in Review. Welcome to Project Potter, guys. I'm your host, Kyle. If you haven't checked out the channel before, this is the Samurai Jack in Review. Go check out the other content that we have. This is episode 5 of season 1, guys. Jack in space, and boy, do we get some good action in this one. So kicking it off here, guys, with the recap. I like that this episode actually starts really quiet and peaceful, and it's like there's a waterfall shot and Jack is going through the woods and it's quiet. And if you guys remember, he was told to go north and continue his journey. He's looking for a magical place. And it's super, super nice, and it's calming. And Jack goes to a waterfall and he goes to drink the water. And then there's a deer that comes up, and the deer looks at him and he looks at it, and then he actually scoots over because he's so unselfish that he's like, no, it's okay, I'm not going to hurt you. Like, you can also drink the water. So it just shows the character that Jack is. And then there's a big rumbling sound, and it's disturbed, and Jack starts running, and there are bombs or arrows being shot at him, and gunfire, and he's jumping off a cliff. There's a slow-mo shot where he goes off the cliff, and he lands next to a rocket where he finds a whole bunch of humans, and it looks like a whole bunch of scientists, and they're all kind of just staring at him, and they're worried. Jack is looking at them, and then all of a sudden the Aku praying mantis shows up. We had the Aku beetles, and the death beetles, and now we have the Aku praying mantis. And there's 3 of these things, and they're big, and they have that similar design with the big reflective eyes and the red and the black, kind of similar to Aku's likeness. But it's against Jack, and then all of a sudden it looks up, and it shows unauthorized facility, unauthorized escape vehicle, judgment, extermination. And so it's there's a really, really cool brooding voice that it has. And it's you're breaking the law of Aku, unauthorized escape pod, unauthorized habitation or whatever. And it's you're going to die. And so these people start running around, and they start firing guns at the people. And Jack is like, oh my God. And he's like, I have to save these people, especially because I brought them over here. And so the mantis start destroying, there's a whole rocket facility set up, when NASA wants to do a launch, how the rocket's connected to all those platforms and stuff. The mantises start destroying that, and Jack is like, I gotta stop this. So he goes in and he starts slicing up the mantises, manti, I don't know, the 3 mantis. And they're like, wow, that was so amazing. I can't believe that you did that. And there's a guy in the calculator, and he's like, the odds of you defeating those were 1,345,000 to 1 or whatever. And then there's a guy, he's like, oh no, we'll never escape Aku. And he's like, we built that for 20 years, and now it's all gone. And he's like, I can't start working for Aku again. And then the guy next to him is like, hey, don't worry, we'll get it done. Or he's like, I was just a baby. He said he was just a baby or something when he started. But basically, they're like, we can't just keep working for Aku. They built up this whole plan for 20 years, apparently, to escape Aku, and they thought they were hidden. And then suddenly Jack discovers them, or Aku discovers them. And they're like, wow, they don't know what to do now because their whole work is gone. But they do know that they can build either another rocket, or they can repair the rocket that they have. And they're like, wait, if Jack could take those out, Jack can help us get through the barrier. Jack can he can be our warrior to defend us, basically. And they're like, no, that's impossible. One guy against Aku, that's not going to work. And the guy's like, the odds of that are blah, 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 blah. And Jack's like, well, I have to help out. And then they kind of ask Jack what he's doing, and he says there's a story of a warrior who was going against Aku, and Aku threw him back in time, and his mission now is to get back to stop that. And they're like, wow, is that true? And he's like, yes, it is true. And he doesn't tell them that it's him, but basically he's like, I'll help you out but I need to get back in time. So I had to figure out a way to get back in time. And they're like, oh, get back in time? They're like, yeah, time travel, we can do that. And he's like, what? You can time travel? And they're like, oh yeah, we're going to get in our rocket ship. We're going to go light speed. And he's like, just make sure you're in the pod. It's going to send you back, and it's definitely going to get you back to your past. And it's like, oh, Samurai Jack's like, that's it? All I have to do is get in the pod with you guys? And they're like, oh yeah, no problem. We can do time travel. And these are scientists. Obviously Jack had none of this in his time. So it's cool to see that they've advanced so far that they literally can be like, oh yeah, we can just time travel. And I didn't know you just want to do that. So they build Jack this astronaut suit, because they're talking about how Aku's minions and stuff are going to be up there, and Aku's got a blockade that keeps people from escaping in space to other planets. So they build him this badass suit. And he's like, all right, there's a funny scene where they're like, all right, let me show you your hand guidance for the jetpack that they put on there. Because there's like a huge machine that comes up, puts like the tiniest jetpack on Jack's suit, which is cool. And it's like a hand guidance thing. And Jack hits it and he's like, ah, and he like goes all around there. And he zips around, and it's really cool actually, because he's like, he can't control, he doesn't know how to control it. He's going left and right, and it's a funny bit. And then he's going towards a bunch of trees, and he has the instincts to take out a sword and start slicing all the trees. So it's just a bunch of stumps. And then he actually puts his sword into the tree to use leverage to turn around and go back up. And he like very quickly masters it without them even telling him how to do it. So he just shows you like how great of a warrior he is, that he can like literally adapt to technology he's never even seen before and just instantly do it. So they're like, send out the drones to test how he fights in the suit. And then he just like slices them up, and they're like, sweet, this is going to be awesome. They have like a mini party where they're like, hey, tomorrow morning we're ready to go. And Jack's like, oh, he's like, just so you know, like there's like more mantises coming, or mosquitoes or whatever. It's all like these different bug types. The mantises come on the ground, so they have to kind of leave like the break of dawn. Break it down, baby. Anyone who's seen Nick Cage know what I'm talking about. But then Rocket comes up, and they're all like kind of nervous, and Jack is nervous, like, hey, Jack, make sure you're in the pod when we go to light speed. And so they start going into the atmosphere, and they're out in space, and then Aku's minions start coming. There's an I Love Science mug, which is funny, but it like goes up into zero gravity, and Jack can't believe it because obviously he's never seen space or seen gravity. So this is like all blowing his mind. But he's seen a bunch of stuff at this point now where he has no idea what any of this is before that. So, but yeah, basically they're like, good luck, Jack. And he goes out to the outside of the ship, and it's really cool because his suit like turns black because I don't really know why actually, but it looks really, really cool. And they're like, hey, you're doing great. And then Aku's like minions start going on there. So we get more enemy types where it's like these little, we see the mosquitoes, we see these like little drill bots that are drilling into like the hull. And they're like, hey, we need to stop these. And Jack cuts off their bodies, and then they're still drilling with just their head. And so Jack has the brilliant idea. He has a flashback to when he was like a child. I think it was when he had like lice or something, or he saw something where like you light a match and then you hit the bug and it stops, or whatever, the tick or the lice or whatever. And he actually he puts the sword behind and uses his jetpack, and he gets this badass flaming sword, dude. How dope that looks. And he comes down and he puts the flaming sword into the heads, and the heads blow up there. And then they're like, oh, now we're losing fuel, Jack. What's happening? And then there's these mosquito bots that are just sucking. They go into the hole and they start sucking the fuel out. And so Jack has to go over and take care of those. And then we get like the bees, which have like guiding missiles. And so they're like, Jack, those are what we call humming missiles. And so Jack's running around. And it's really clever because he like has missiles coming this way, and he flies into it. So they run into each other, and then he's like going after the bees, and there's so many bees, but he like slices one, and then the missiles blow up the other two, and he keeps doing that. And it's just crazy because Jack has like mastered this, and it's so cool. And we're used to like the land action, but he's still got the magic sword in here, and he's still crushing it, and he like zipping around space. It all looks really, really cool. But he's trying to like save these people because they're like, hey, we need to like get ready for top speed, but they have to fly for a certain amount of time. And so they're like, all right, Jack, we have like 1 minute till top speed, so come back in. And Jack gets in there, and he like straps in, and then like the bees form up to like a giant mega gun, almost looks like a Death Star cannon. And they're like, what is that? And they're like, oh, the bees formed up for a super gun. And they're like, it's okay, don't worry. Like the odds of that hitting us at this speed are 325 to 1. And Jack says, I can't take that opportunity, or I can't take that chance. And they're like, Jack, you're not going to get back in time. And he goes, without hesitation, he goes out, and they're like, all right, start the countdown. And they're like, what about Jack? And they're like, dude, we have to go now. This is our only chance. And so they start going, and Jack is like, he's run out of time, obviously. And Jack basically knows that this is his chance to get back to the past, and he gives it up because he needs to save these people, because he always does the greater good. He always works for the greater good and fights for the greater good. And so he knows that these people, this is their only chance to escape. And he heard that they were working for 20 years to build this, and they can't work for Aku again. And they're like, this is our only chance. And even though this could be Jack's only chance getting back, he's like, I have to do the right thing. I have to save these people. So he flies off, with his sword. The gun is like loading up there, and it shoots this green like ray as the spaceship hits hyperspeed, and it's like cool because it just like goes like a Star Wars hyper jump, light speed jump basically. And he gets up there and he uses his sword to block the ray, and it hits him, and it's a really cool effect because it actually shows like his skeleton, so it's like really like electrifying him. It reminds me of like, I don't mean to keep making Star Wars references here, guys, but it reminds me of Vader when he picks up Palpatine at the end of Return of the Jedi and he throws him down and you see his skeleton flashing through if you like slow it down. And so this like really messed up Jack, but he does survive it. They escape, and he actually directs the beam back at the bees, so it blows up the bees. But the explosion actually sends him back into the atmosphere, and it kind of like breaks up some of his helmet. So the episode ends with him going back to the ground there, and it's a really awesome shot because the helmet is cracked and you can't use that anymore, and it's just left in like the front of the shot, and then the silhouette of Jack is walking away, and it's just super badass and a super good way to end a really entertaining and fascinating episode. So the magic sword here, guys, I mean, it's Jack, of course. I mean, he makes the ultimate sacrifice in that he could have just said, you know what, we'll take our chances. Like, we're probably not going to hit, like he said, the beam hit us at that speed, 325 to 1. He could have just said, all right, that's fine. It's most likely not going to hit us. I'll sit here. I'll get back to my time. We'll take care of it. But he knows that the right thing to do is to get out of the ship and to sacrifice himself, potentially lose his life so that these people can escape, because he always is looking to help other people and he's always fighting for the other people. And so, yeah, he might be stuck on this time forever. That might be his only chance. These might be the last scientists on the planet. Everything has been taken over by a coup, so he doesn't know. And he has no hesitation. He's like, I need to do what's right. And he gets out, and they're like, Jack, you can't do that. And he's like, say no more, dude. So yeah, Jack is the magic sword with the help of his magic flaming sword in this one. He gets the job done, and he is by far the best character in this one. A portal in time, guys, for my favorite scene. I do that every time. It's the flaming sword. I mean, how cool is it that he chops off the bodies of the drilling bugs or whatever, and then he's like, oh, they're still drilling, and he doesn't know what else to do. So he lights up, he uses his past knowledge, lights the flame, and then takes them out. I'm like, so cool. Not only did they have fun, like obviously writing that or drawing that, I'm sure, and animating it, but just what an awesome idea that like, oh, he has the sword and he has like the vacuum of space, and it's like, what is he going to do? Well, he's going to improvise. He's going to use literally the jetpack fire to light his sword up and enhance his weapon. So that was super awesome. That's by far my favorite scene of the episode. For a score for this one, guys, this was a really good episode. I really liked it. It was action-packed. Last episode was a little bit slower with the Woolies, so I like that we kind of mixed it up here. And I thought not that the Woolies weren't interesting last episode, but I thought that the scientists here were super interesting. The fact that they have like conversations where they're like, calculating stuff, and they're like, oh, yeah, well, if we do time travel, and it's just so cool because they're just humans too. So it's like Jack usually is running into other alien creatures, and that's really cool. But this was like, hey, these people, not only are they trying to escape a coup just like you, but they know how to get you back to your time. And like I said, this might be the only time. So it's just a great episode. I'm going to give it a 9.2. I really think this is a strong episode, and I really enjoyed it. And it's crazy to think that Jack gave that up when he could have selfishly stayed in the ship, but he just can't do that. Jack knows that he has to put himself before other people, or excuse me, quite the opposite of that. He needs to put others before him. So he will do whatever it takes to save people, even if it means losing out on a chance to get back to his time. So really strong episode, action packed. The shots were beautiful. Even the beginning when he's in the forest and it's like a far shot, the quiet of the beginning where the waterfall is there and the deer, and then action packed the rest of the way. Just the beautiful shot. They actually show him like going back in the atmosphere, which was really cool, and the sound effects and everything. So that I'm sure was hard to animate, and I was really impressed with that whole sequence there, and kept off a really great episode. And then it's great because all of that work he did, now he's just continuing his journey onwards, and it's like that's kind of what these are. These are little stories, but he is always just going forward because he's going to find the way eventually, and this is a great little side story for that. So for Jack Facts, guys, once again, unfortunately, we don't have any Jack Facts, any funny Easter eggs or anything like that. I do want to just point out, though, that this episode was directed by Rob Renzetti and Genndy. So once again, Genndy kind of obviously has a huge hand in every episode, but I like that he's bringing different people on to show a different perspective and give you different kind of action pieces. So no Jack facts, but just a little tidbit there. Okay, guys, well, that's another episode of Gotta Get Back. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I've been your host, Kyle. This has been Project Potter. Hope you guys enjoyed this. This was a fun episode. Like I said, some of these are going to be shorter, some of these are going to be longer, but for the most part, these are only 20-minute episodes. And, it is all due respect to Samurai Jack. For the most part, it's usually very cut and dry for kind of the plot recap. So I'm not going to be doing like an hour review like I do for some of the movies or for some of the MCU reviews. These are going to be just shorter ones. So, but yeah, nonetheless, guys, I'm having a blast rewatching Samurai Jack. The animation is beautiful. The style is fun. The action is great. Keep in mind, this came out in 2001 too. So really impressed with how far along they were, how ahead of its time they were. And yeah, thanks for joining me, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell notification. You already know. Thanks for checking out Project Potter. And until next time, guys, gotta get back.